Hello. Hi, Mike.
Hey,
We're
how are
still
you?
trying to get everything connected. So,
Okay, no worries.
Thanks for joining us today. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me. I'm
Absolutely.
trying to turn on my video. All right, here we
There
are.
you are.
welcome.
Hi.
Yes.
Welcome.
Technology, it does everything you want it to do except for what you need it to do.
And when?
There it is. Okay. It's just a little bright. How's everybody doing?
Very well. How are you?
Good.
I'm doing well, thank you. I'm trying to set up my screen, sorry. I feel like everybody's like at the same time trying to get their setup good to go.
We are all trying to set up everything just as you are, Mike.
Yeah,
Thank you
okay,
so much
good.
for joining us today.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
have to put glasses on.
it's we're definitely happy for you to join us on our Insider Fireside chat, and it's just going to be a casual conversation about everything that you've done.
Okay.
And I'm just here working on the sound to make sure that people are unmuted and muted, and if there's any technical issues, I will handle that. So.
Okay. All right.
And we're studying your background to see what your interests are in movies and things like that. It's always a nice tell.
It's like Room Raider on Twitter.
I'm sorry?
There's a Twitter account, Room Raider, for all the people that appear on TV in their basically on Zoom because they can't go anywhere, and their backgrounds are rated by an account called Room Raider.
Oh, that's interesting. Oh no. Well,
Yeah.
I wonder. These are all my movies that I've worked. I also produce, so these are some films I've produced.
Oh, nice.
So, nice. And then if there's anything that you don't like, just it's not mine. Room Raider. I'm gonna have to check that out. I actually like this year. I like some of the award ceremonies. I mean, 2020 has been awful for so many people, but one kind of nice thing about some of these award ceremonies is actually getting a glimpse into the lives of some of the people that you only see on stage in a gown, in a tux, whatever. And I actually felt that some of the award ceremonies were much more personal. I actually enjoyed them more because you have people accepting awards with their kids, with their dogs, with their whatever.
It's definitely different. And again, thank you for joining us today, Mike. We have some questions for you, and I'm going to let Hope take it away. Hope, go ahead.
Yes, hi, I'm Hope. I'm editor of Soap Hub, and I got some questions. We're going to go back to almost the beginning, the real world DC.
Okay.
How did you conduct yourself to make sure that you were both entertaining but still in a flattering light on reality series?
Well, I will say that for me, Real World DC was a happy accident from start to finish. I had never watched the show before. I only knew about the audition because I followed my best friend in school to get him on the show. He loved the show. He wanted to be on the show. So I followed him to the audition to help him get on. And the casting director said, "Hey, like, come on in here." And I said, "No, I don't want to." And he said, "Come on in, let's just talk to me. Just, let me get to know you." Ended up getting cast on the show. Out of 30,000 people, they chose me to be one of the 8 people. And I actually didn't think it was going to happen. I was growing up in Colorado. I did theater when I was younger, so I did love entertainment, but I was going to school for business. I didn't really think that a career in entertainment was in my future. So I sort of just went along the audition process thinking that it was something kind of cool. I never thought that it would lead me to being on the show. A couple months later, I'm on the show. And at that point in my life, I was going through some personal things, and the show took place in Washington, D.C., and it was really my first time away from home with a bunch of strangers that I could really invent myself and become my own person. And it just happened to be that there was a camera there. So, and it caught everything. And so I will say that because we were in Washington, D.C., I was the most political of the bunch. So I think the producers needed somebody to be, like the good guy and the political guy. And I mean, because all of you know, like, editors can make you look one way or they can make you look another way. And I was lucky that the editors made me look like the good guy because they needed somebody to play that role on the show.
So that you were, what kind of experiences did you have, like when you were, even though we saw everything, being in DC and being a little political and being that it was a whole different place for you?
Yeah. Well, one thing that was nice is that my storyline on the show, I showed up in Washington, D.C., not really knowing much about politics, not really knowing about our legal system, our Congress. I mean, I knew the basics, but I didn't really know much. And in 3.5 months, by the end of the season, the last couple episodes, the cameras followed me in there to go meet with senators, members of Congress, to go talk to them about laws and legislation. And I was, during those 3.5 months, I was an example of somebody that didn't really know much about politics, who became an activist about issues I cared about. So it was really great for me. And of course, we get crazy on the show. We drank, we had fun, we danced, whatever it was. We did the stuff that's entertaining. But my storyline, at least, when I finished the show, I actually got to go and talk to a bunch of colleges and around the country about activism, because I could literally go to young people and say, hey, look at me. I barely knew how a law was passed. And here I am being an activist, lobbying members of Congress about these important issues. You can too. And it was a really cool part in my life. I spent 1.5 years bouncing around, just giving speeches in front of colleges about activism and voting and things like that. So it was really cool. And it was a really nice jumping off point. I would never do a reality show again, I don't think, because I think people know, but I feel like people don't understand exactly how intrusive it is. You have a microphone on you at all times. It's in your shirt. If you take your shirt off, they give you a necklace with a microphone. They have cameras in all of the walls. They have cameras in the headboard of your bed. They have cameras everywhere except for the bathroom, basically. You can't watch TV. You can't listen to the radio. And then if you want to go anywhere, you have to pick up, we call it the bat phone. You have to pick up the phone, call the producers, ask permission. They get a crew together to follow you. And that's how you can leave the house. So it's really, really, you don't have any privacy. So at that point in my life, it was fun. I was, I like I said, I'm really grateful for the show. But now, if somebody called me right now and said, you want to do it again, I'd say, hell no.
Well, let's talk about Cloud9 and snowboarding.
Yeah.
Before the film, were you a snowboarder? Maybe possibly being in Colorado with all the snow. And what was it like being trained by Olympic snowboarders?
Yeah. That was Cloud9 was one of the first big movies I did living in Los Angeles as an actor, and it was so much fun. I grew up snowboarding because of Colorado. Grew up skiing and snowboarding. I was born in Florida, but then we moved to Colorado when I was 8, and my parents were really adamant about going from beach people to snow people, so they signed me up for lessons right away. And snowboarding was something that was always fun for me. So, and actually, funny story with that is the reason that I got called in for the Cloud9 audition is because I did this show. I did a guest spot on a show called Crash and Bernstein on Disney XD. Okay. And it's this show with this purple puppet, and I played this Australian foreign exchange student. And my best friend at the time was Australian, so he taught me the accent. I go in and I auditioned for this role. And on the show, this guest star, that's what they were casting, as an Australian exchange student. So I did the role, and that was it. I think a year or two later, the casting directors at Disney called me in because originally that role in Cloud9 was supposed to be Australian. So they called me in thinking I was Australian. Oh. And I went in there and I was like, you know what? They think I'm Australian. I'm going to be Australian. And every single time I went in for that audition, to the parking attendant, to everybody, the secretary, to everybody on the audition room, the other actors, the casting director, the director, I was Australian the entire time. So much so that I think it was like, there was the audition, then there was the callback, then there was the producer session, and then we had a chemistry read with all the other cast. And my role, there were the 4 main roles, and they had Dove Cameron, Luke Benward, QC Clemens, other 3 snowboarders were all cast, and then mine was the last one. So my last day, my last audition, they had me in the room with the other 3 who had the job, and they were sort of like switching us out, seeing who would fit the group the best. So I was in there, and I'm like, you know, talking to Dove, and I'm like, hey, how you going? Like Australian the whole time, you know, and they said we're in the room, and there's the writers, the network executives at Disney, the producers, the director, everybody. There's 15 people around this table, and the casting director goes, Mike, I'm so sorry to do this to you and put you on the spot, but we really need to move on this role. Can you do an American accent?
Oh, okay.
And I turned to them and I said, yeah, of course, whatever you guys want. And immediately everybody just looks up and they go, wait, where are you from? And I said, Colorado. and I think that's what got me the job. It's just being able to turn and surprise everybody in the room. I left the room. I got a call an hour later that I was going to go to Utah to film the movie.
Nice.
Yeah. So
after all that movies, you've done reality TV, and now the anti-reality TV, a soap opera. What drew you to want to do a soap opera and the role of Charlie? And have you tried for other soaps before Days of Our Lives?
Yeah. So being on a soap is something I've wanted to do for a long time. I started in theater when I was young. I like 12 or 13, I started doing theater in Colorado. My school had a great theater program. And to me, a soap opera is the closest thing to the TV version of live theater that you can get. Because you go there and you have one take, maybe 2. You have limited rehearsal time. And basically, when you're going to go in there and do your scene, it's a trust exercise between you and the other actor. So you go there and you hope you know your lines, you hope they know their lines, and you just kind of go for it. And so being on a soap is something that's always been exciting to me. And I've been working at this for years. I first went in and auditioned for Marnie 4 days. I think it was like 8 years ago. It was one of the first auditions that I had in California, in Los Angeles. And I auditioned for her, and I went to the producers. And at that moment in time, being on Days became a reality to me. And I was like, oh my gosh, I might be on this soap. Never happened. A year later, I auditioned for Young and the Restless, and I went to producers, and I actually tested against my best friend for that role. And this was a couple years after that, actually. Tested against my best friend, didn't get it. General Hospital, I've gone to producers like 3 times. It's all of them. So I've tested, I think Bold and the Beautiful, I've auditioned for a bunch. So for me, hopefully it was a matter of time before I found the right role. And Marnie is so great, the casting director for Days. Mm-hmm. And she wrote me a note after I got cast as Charlie, and she said, Mike, I'm so proud of you. I think that it was just a matter of time for us to find a role for you, because you always come in and you work your hardest, you give it your best. And I think that this is a really exciting, fun, challenging role that I can't wait to see what you do with it. And that was just like a really nice way to feel affirmation, to feel like I deserved a seat at the table. And it's been great. It's been really fun working on the show, but it took years.
You came on at an unusual time for soaps, because you're doing their new normal, but to you it's just the normal, the way that they're filming. Are you finding it easy to adjust to that because you've never done it any other way? The COVID protocols.
Yeah, it's interesting. So yeah, you're right. I've never known anything different. So we, being tested every day is something that's regular to me, and wearing a mask the whole time is something, and spending limited time in the makeup chair and everything else, like all the protocol things, that's just normal to me. And it's fun to kind of fun, I feel bad for them, but to watch the other actors get used to it. Because I shot September 1st. I shot the first day that we were back, that the show was officially back. And so I was there day one of everybody getting used to all this stuff. And for me, it was pretty good because it meant that we moved a little bit slower than normal. So it was nice that I got to take a little bit of extra time with rehearsing my lines, and it started a slower pace. But it's been challenging, I think, for some of the people that are used to having more in-person contact. We have to do everything on our phones or on our computers now, or on iPads. We have to stay in our dressing rooms the whole time unless we're shooting. So if you want to rehearse, if you want to run lines, you basically just have to do it on your phone with everybody.
So you're basically FaceTiming rehearsals, or
basically it's like what you and I are doing right now.
Okay,
that's
is that how you, wow, that is interesting.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah. It's I would much rather prefer in-person rehearsals, obviously, because you can pick up on the nuances and the energy and the stuff that makes a scene good. You can only get so much, I think, on a screen, but we're doing our best because the alternative is that we're not shooting. So I think everybody's just trying to make it work.
What have been some of your favorite scenes so
far? What am I allowed to talk about? Okay, so I have to say, I'm sorry?
I guess what already aired, but.
Yeah. So, I mean, hands down, my first scene was my first day. I got a smoothie spilled on me. And then my second day, I got a smoothie spilled on me again. And that's never happened to me before. I can't remember if it's happened to me in real life, but it certainly never happened to me on a show, and not twice in the same week. So I sort of just went on set, guns a-blazing, just like, hey, everybody, I'm Charlie. I'm the guy that's getting spilled on. Great, nice to meet you. And then it was all downhill from there. No, I'm just kidding. I think those have been fun. I think with Isabel, and she's a new Claire, and it's been so much fun to work with her. She is an Australian actress, actually, and so rehearsing with her and doing the scenes with her, and I think what you'll see too is as their relationship sort of progresses is she gives a really nice performance, and she, in my opinion, she's really very giving and very honest as an actor. So with her, it's really fun to get lost in the scene and lost in what's going on. And then on the other hand, you have Xander, you have Paul, and he's just a goofball. And he and I have a lot of fun scenes. It's almost like the older brother, younger brother kind of thing. And he'll just joke around, like the camera they'll yell cut and he'll just joke around, make it, and you'll be laughing. And a lot of my scenes with him have been more comedic and more fun. So it's a nice balance. You have like the emotional scenes and you have like the really fun scenes.
Michael, I think you had some questions now. Oh, you got to be unmuted.
Yes, I just unmuted myself. And I think we're going to go to fan questions now. Do we have any fan questions?
We do.
Oh, then that's Diane.
Well, I was going to say, Linda, if she can be unmuted. Linda has a question.
Here I am.
Oh,
hi. I don't have my picture up for some reason. The camera didn't come on.
It's okay. What's your question?
My question is it hard to go from one scene, let's say you're smiling and having a good time with somebody like Claire, to someone coming up like Jan or somebody like that and picking an argument with you? So you're all smiles, and a second or two later, you've got to be kind of gruffy.
Yeah.
Is it hard doing that?
Yeah. Well, thank you for that question. I really wish I could see your face while you were making those sounds.
I'm sorry. Next time I'll turn the camera.
I'm kidding. No, that's a great question, and I think it is more challenging. But how boring would it be if your character was just smiling all the time or just angry all the time? So I like it when they change it up. And for me, in the beginning, Charlie was, a lot of his scenes were very smiley, very nervous, very like happy-go-lucky. and now I think we're starting to get into the meat of some of his conflict, some of his really trying to impress Claire. And I think as we get to know Charlie a little bit more, you're going to see really both sides of his personality. And for me, that's what's more fun. It's also more challenging. I think that when you're preparing a scene, at least for me, what I try to do is I try to dig as deep as I can and really experience what the character is going through and really try to relate it to something that puts me in that mindset and in that position as quickly as I can. So that if, some days we might shoot, like you're talking about, we might shoot a really fun, laughing scene. And then 20 minutes later, we shoot a really like a crying scene. And I have to be able to go from like having fun on set and really, joking with those actors to crying like somebody just ran over my dog.
Right.
That's awful, and I hope that never happens. I have 2 dogs, love them a lot, and so I think that it is challenging, but it's I think that it's just an exercise in really trying to be calm and trying to really put yourself in that position and really go from like, hey, how's it going? How are you? To like taking that time to think about something that makes you so sad, to where you feel impacted and you feel so sad, and the audience feels that with you, and they're going through what you're going through. And I feel like as an actor, you just you learn what works for you. It's different for everybody, and it's it's different for everybody, and it's different. It gets easier as you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, that's much more fun than just doing the same thing the whole time.
Well, I just want to say welcome aboard the Days. I really enjoy watching you.
Thank you.
I really hope you and Claire hook up.
Me too. No, just kidding. Yeah.
She needs somebody.
No, she does. The nice thing about Claire is I think that for so long she was living in the shadow of Sierra, and she was always taking Sierra's seconds, and she was always seen, at least she felt like she was always seen as second best. And I feel like for Claire, Charlie is the first person that's brand new to town, that doesn't really have anything else to, like, he doesn't know anybody. He's never met Sierra. And so I feel like for Claire, he's the first guy that she has for herself, and the first guy that she knows likes her for her and no other reason. And so I'm with you. I want her to be able to enjoy that a little bit longer too.
Well, good.
Yeah. Thank you.
It'll be fun watching it.
Thank you.
How about Nadia? You want to go next? But you'll have to take yourself off and mute it.
Yeah, you go. Oh, yes, I asked her.
Hi, Mike. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I have a question. Who do you like to work with on? Oh, am I on mute?
I can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me? Okay, good. I have a question. So who do you like to work with on days, like a lot?
Well, I can't. Yeah, it's. I really like to work with Isabel, who plays Claire. I really like to work with Paul, who plays Xander. I've also gotten to work with Deidre and Drake and Galen, some of these actors that have been on there for a long time, and just watching them work and just watching them just own the space and just be these characters that the world has seen for so long is really fun to watch. Is really fun to. It makes everybody just like want to get it right the first time and really try to stay on their game. And especially Deidre, she, her looks, man, some of her looks, you're in a room with her and you say good morning, she just gives you a good morning. And it's like, oh man, she's like the queen. And so, but acting with them has been a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, nice to meet you and good luck on days.
Nice to meet you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I was curious, who have you learned the most from so far, on set?
Yeah, I would say I've learned from Paul and Drake, because Drake is a goofball, and every time we're not shooting, And I'm actually happy that I haven't had to do a really like a sad crying scene with Drake yet, because I don't know if I could. Every time the camera is not rolling, he's making a joke, he's making like a sound effect, he's goofing off. And but he's sort of there was a scene where I was shooting it with Claire, and it was like a really romantic scene, and Drake said, "Hey man, can I give you some advice?" And I said, "What is it?" And he goes, "Look at her like she is the only girl in the world. Like she is so, pick something that's beautiful and just focus on that, and just really," and it was a really nice way to sort of forget about all the noise, forget about everything else that's happening, and just center in right on Claire and just be in the moment. And I told Drake, I said, that was like such a great piece of advice that he's given me, because I've used that again and again with a lot of these scenes with Claire. And then Paul, I've never been on a soap before like this that moves this fast. And so typically when I shoot, you know, other TV shows that I've done, I've done Hawaii Five-0 and Major Crimes and some of these other ones, you'll shoot a couple scenes for the entire day. For this, they're shooting an entire episode in a day. And so the first day on set, I'm freaking out and I'm saying, "Paul, you're going to spill a smoothie on me. I only have like 2 of these shirts. Like, what if we don't get it? What if we this? What if we that?" And he goes, "Mike, it's going to be fine. Just like be in the moment." And he's like puts his hand in, he's like, "Be in the moment. Just know that it's going to work out. It'll be fine." And sure enough, he pulled his arm back, it spilled all over me. And that's the take they used. One take, it was it. But it's funny that now Xander is becoming almost like a big brother to Charlie, because Paul has been doing that for Mike. So it's kind of nice. It's kind of nice when art imitates life like that.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah. Thanks.
Oh, that's awesome. I think Linda had one more question she wanted to ask. Linda, we got to get you off.
Off mute.
Yeah, wait, that's not right.
Or if you need me to, I can ask the question.
I can.
There you go.
Oh,
Very good.
okay, great.
Am I there?
Yes, you are.
Okay, good. I want to know, you said you had 2 dogs?
Yes, I do.
I'm a lover of dogs. What kind of dogs are they?
I have 2 pit bulls.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What's their names?
Jake and Brando.
Brando?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Jake and Brando for Marlon Brando.
Oh.
Oh, how old are they?
5 and 5.5.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Are they friendly? Are they friendly pit bulls?
No, they're absolutely friendly. Yeah. I think my mom worked at an animal hospital when I was growing up in Colorado, and we always had pets. We had 4 dogs, 2 cats, a parakeet, and I had an iguana. I had I had a tarantula. We had snakes. My house was like a zoo. And that's so funny, Diane, I see your face. Yeah, some people don't like, yeah. But and my mom was a trooper.
Where do you get your tarantula that you
Yeah,
have?
yeah. And it was like the tarantula that you see on Home Alone, where he like picks up the giant tarantula. That's the kind
of
tarantula I had. But so we always had dogs and cats and all these pets. And in Colorado, in Denver, pit bulls, I think until last week or the week before, have been illegal for the past decade, just because because they're seen as violent dogs. And so I always thought that pit bulls were violent, and because I would watch the news and I would hear stories about this attack and this, this and that. But I will say that when I moved to LA, I lived with somebody with a pit bull, and immediately this dog was like the friendliest, cutest dog I'd ever seen. And ever since then, I've been in love with pit bulls, and my 2 dogs are so sweet. I've taken them, I'll go to hike outside, or I'll take them on walks. And there's been a couple times where smaller dogs will bite my dog. And this happened, I took my dog on a hike, a smaller dog, a little yippy dog, came and maybe got startled, whatever. Because my dog's very friendly, will just go up and smell everybody. And this dog bit him in the face so much, and he had like little 2 drops of blood. And he sits there and he looks at me like, what's his problem? Like, why is he biting me? Doesn't he know that you're not supposed to bite? And and he was just so confused. and I think being violent didn't even cross his mind. And so I truly, truly believe that with pit bulls, it's definitely how you raise them and how you
Absolutely.
bring them up, rather
Yeah,
than
I agree.
all pit bulls are bad.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What kind of dogs do you have?
I did have a mutt and I had to put him down a while back. I'm handicapped with my oxygen and walk with a walker. I can't really care for a dog right now
Mm-hmm.
or afford one. So I will not, I love them, but I won't bring one into my life because it was not fair to the dog.
Yeah, well, that's responsible. Well, I promise I'll post more pictures of my dogs, and you could be their surrogate mother, and you could just look at those pictures and
Oh, thank you.
pretend like they're your dogs too. How about that?
I will. Thanks.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Do we have more questions? Because I've been holding on to this question um, ever since ever since I listened to the answer that you gave a while ago. I love that dog answer. I'm also an animal lover. Our entire team is. We all have pets. We all have pets. It's hilarious.
Good.
But
I don't trust people that don't like animals.
okay, good. You can trust us. But I wanted to go back and talk to you about the reality show when you were talking about how you were so confined and you could barely go out. How long do those things usually shoot? And then I have another question. But
Yeah, for us, with Real World, we shot for like 3.5 months.
that's
Yeah.
a long time.
Yeah,
It's almost like being isolated, right, from the rest of the world, and you're just.
It is like being isolated. It's you're in a house with these. For me, it was 7. Sometimes they do 7 people. Sometimes they do 8. For me, it was 7 other people, so the 8 of us total, and I didn't know anybody. And you basically just live there for 3 to 3.5 months, and they tape everything, and then they edit it however they want to edit it, however they want to make you look. And it's interesting because I feel like they know what they're doing with the casting. During the casting process, I had to talk to a casting director, and then I had to talk to another casting director. Then I got interviewed on camera, and they sent it to the producers in Hollywood. Then I had to fill out like this giant 500 questions packet. Then I had to do a phone interview, and then I had to fly to LA from Colorado, fly to LA, meet with a psychologist to make sure I wasn't crazy. I had to take an IQ test.
Oh
Like
my
they,
gosh.
by the end of the casting, they knew more about me than I knew about me.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so I think they know exactly who they're putting on these shows so that they know who's gonna have conflict with who's gonna like what their viewpoints are politically or with whatever else, and they know who's gonna butt heads. And there were certain people on the show that I loved and I got along with, and there were certain people on the show that I just wanted to jump off the roof every time they opened their mouth.
Well,
So
that is so awesome. I love the insight because we write a lot about entertainment and realities, and it's always so awesome to like learn, just get into the nitty gritty of like what is actually going on and what's your mindset when you're doing these things. So thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that. The other thing I wanted to ask is how many accents do you know? Like the Australian, you've got the American because you're American, but
American, Australian. I love accents.
yeah. So
You're putting me on the spot. Well, I love. What else do? I do like Irish. I do like Scottish, like William Wallace in Braveheart. Let's see, Scottish. The proper. Oh, somebody's calling me. The proper like English accent. What else? What else is there? What other accents are there? Jamaican, like what is it? Like Sebastian, like Little Mermaid. I don't know. I love accents. I like if I have to. What I love is I love when I get an audition for another accent, and I'll spend all day just on YouTube because people that from in other countries, they just love to post how to speak like they do. And I'll just go on there and I'll study it. I'll just study how they sound. Maybe I'll watch a movie. I'll practice. I'll call my mom and I'll talk to her in that accent. And that for me, that's fun because for me, that's like another element of the character. It's almost like if you're a character, it's almost, you do whatever you can to put a different skin on. And I feel like with an accent, it's such a cool way to, because like for me, I walk and I speak and I sit and I whatever. My mannerisms are different. If I'm doing a southern accent and I'm talking to all you like this and we're just like hanging out, you know, I might just be a little bit more loose, a little bit more free, and I just might be a little bit more fun, you know? And for me, like doing an accent is just like just one more little thing that you can do to apply to that character just to like make them just a little different.
I love it. I love it. That's awesome. And
Yeah.
it really does bring out that like the different shades of you or however you want to call it, you know.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Do we have any other questions?
I
Ashley?
can ask a question.
Oh, cool.
So I saw that you recently worked on a horror movie, right? The Call, I think. How was that? And like, is that experience, is horror any different from any other genre, or are they all kind of the same?
Yeah. So I love working on horror because for me, I love to get lost in a story and I love getting scared. And I'm like the person that goes to the haunted house and I'll make my friends, I'll like be up front so that I get freaked out. Just because that's why I think I do movies, is I love to get lost in the world that everybody's creating together. And so I love doing horror movies for that reason. The Call, which is, it was just in theaters. It did as many theaters as it could because obviously they're closed right now, but it was in like theaters and drive-ins. And then I think it's on streaming and VOD right now. But that was really fun to shoot because we had Lin Shaye from the Insidious movies. We had Tobin Bell from all the Saw movies. And it was basically them and then four of us, like four of the young people that they were terrorizing in this movie. And that was basically the movie. Lin Shaye is getting revenge on us because I don't want to give too much away, but we terrorized her and she's getting revenge, and she puts us basically into our own like nightmares. Ooh. And so for me, just to be with those legends, doing a horror movie with those horror legends was really fun. And if you see the movie, it doesn't end too well for a lot of us. And I'll just say this: there was a makeup process that took hours, and that was really fun for me too because I look disgusting.
Awesome. I'll have to watch it.
Yeah. I shall too. We love horror as well.
I have one question. I see that you're shooting Hidden Springs. Can you tell us about that?
I wish that I had something to tell you about that. It's a show that I shot last year, and I shot a bunch of episodes, and I play this guy named Maddox, who's essentially like, I think the show is like, it's like a drama meets like Vampire Diaries meets, it's like with like a cult. So it's meets like Scientology. So it's basically, I play this guy Maddox, and he's like this warrior, and he is a part of this cult that of these people that are using like moon dust, like stardust, to live forever. And then he falls in love, and then he goes against the leaders of his cult to then protect this girl, and they escape together, and then they go on the run. And it's a really fun character, really fun show. And we shot last year, and I have no idea what's happening with it. So if you know anything, if you hear anything, let me know.
No.
Will do. But open, you tell us where we could see it. So, oh well.
No, yes, definitely let us know for sure. Yeah. I just wanted to take a moment, Mike, just to give a shout out to one of our audience members. She's been a Fireside for a while, and she's always trying to attend all of our Firesides. And I just wanted to give a shout out to Nancy. She's known as Galaxy S8, and she's like our favorite friend, audience member. She's always here with us. And so Nancy, thank you for always joining us. And we hope to see you in all the other ones. And Mike, yes, I think you are so refreshing. Like everything you were talking about is just fascinating to me. Hope, do we have any more questions, or Michael or anybody?
Are you going to be a Day of Days stuff tomorrow?
Oh yeah, that. Yes, we want to know about that.
That would be very interesting.
Yes.
First one.
because
And
we're usually actually at the Days of Days ourselves every year, so this is really different for us not being there.
Yeah, I will say I'm so bummed that stupid COVID, because I'm so bummed. I love doing stuff like that. I love meeting people. I love doing conventions. When I did Cloud9, I did a couple of Disney like kid conventions and stuff, and I love that stuff. So I'm really bummed. But I will be there. We're doing stuff virtually, so we're gonna make the most of it, and then hopefully next year, or sooner than that, if they have like a makeup event, we can do something in person. Yeah.
Well, we'll see you next year if it's going on there, because we come down there and it's a lot of fun. But I'm really looking forward to seeing what they come up with virtually. The creativity of just trying to do something different for the fans.
Yeah, I feel like what I'm learning is there's no middle ground. It's either a disaster or I'm really impressed with what. It's either a disaster or like I'm really impressed with what people are able to do. I'm like, wow, that actually was really nice and different and cool. And or if like, oh, that was a disaster, I'll never get that time back. Yeah.
Well, Mike, this was definitely not a disaster. This was very nice and cool and all those good things. Anyone who wants to go, I think you want to log on to dayofdays2020.com tomorrow. We really want to thank you for coming by. We look forward to covering your career on Soap Hub, and please come back sometime soon. Thank you for joining us.
We're absolutely going to be asking you to come back again. Thank you for really being with us in this fireside. It was awesome.
No, absolutely.
And we always end with our jazz hands, because
jazz hands. Thank you so much.
Jazz hands. Bye.
Thank you, everybody, so much.